Hello there. This is John Linneball of John Linneball Tutoring, and this is my second last-minute SAT tips video that I'm recording tonight. This is intended for people who are taking the October 1st, 2016 SAT, but of course it'll be perfectly good for people taking the SAT into the foreseeable future. So this is part two of the math SAT videos I'll be making. And this is math, fractions, percentages, and ratios. First of all, if you know about fractions, you should know that the number on the top equals the numerator and the number on the bottom equals the denominator. The common denominator is a number we must find before we add or subtract fractions. So for example, we can't just add 1/2 to 3/4. We have to convert them to a common denominator. Not a common numerator, a common denominator number on the bottom. So first we can convert 1/2 to eighths by multiplying by 4. Why would I want to multiply by 4? Because I know 2 times 4 is going to be a common denominator because it's a common multiple of both 2 and 4. So 2 times 4 equals 8, and if I multiply the denominator by 4, I have to multiply the numerator by 4. Because if I multiply by 4 over 4, that's the same as multiplying by 1, so I know I haven't changed the value of the fraction. So 1/2 is equal to 4/8. Now 3/4 I can multiply by 2 over 2, so I get 6 over 8. Hey, now we can add them. 4/8 plus 6/8 equals 10/8. Now I can reduce that since I know 10 and 8 are both divisible by 2, so that's equal to 5 over 4, or 1 1/4. Multiplying and dividing fractions is much easier than that. If you multiply, you just multiply the top and the bottom. That is the numerator and the denominator. So if I'm multiplying 3/4 times 1/2, all I have to do is go 3 times 1, boom, equals 3. 4 times 2 equals 8. Easiest thing in the world. Factors on top cancel out factors on the bottom. So what I mean by that is I'm multiplying 1/2 times 4/5. Well, I know 4 is equal to 2 times 2, so there are two 2's on the top. There's one 2 on the bottom. They cancel out. This fraction 1/2 becomes 1 over 1, so we're just multiplying by 1, so basically it just disappears. And we end up with 1 2 left over 5, so it's 2/5. The 4 on the top is divided by the 2 on the bottom, and they cancel out. This is extremely useful on the SAT. If you want to simplify 64 over 96, well, you can say, I don't know. But all right, they're both even, so let's try dividing by 2. Okay, so 64 divided by 2. Okay, that's 32. And 96, okay, all right, that's 48. Okay, well, that's 32 over 48. Huh. Hey, wait a minute, I remember my times tables now. 4 times 8 is equal to 32, and 8 times 6 is 48. Hey, look at that. There's an 8 on the top and an 8 on the bottom. So now I have 4 over 6, and wait a minute, those are both even, so I know I can divide by 2. Hey, and when I do that, I end up with 2/3. So I've simplified it, yes. I've simplified 64 over 96 without touching a calculator. Isn't that great? So here are some practical percentage problem tips for you. A percentage is just a specialized fraction. Percent literally means out of 100, translated from the Latin. And here's a little visual pun, brr, like a kitty cat, and cent, so percent, ha ha ha. Okay. So when you calculate a percent increase or decrease, you subtract the original value from the new value and you divide by the original value. So subtracting a percentage and then adding the same percentage to the result does not give you the same starting number. What I'm talking about here is something I can explain easier using an example. So for example, if Bob buys a $1,000 laptop at a store 10% off sale, then pays 10% sales tax, which is actually the sales tax in some counties around here, he did not simply pay $1,000. The 10% sales tax did not cancel out the 10% off completely. How do I know that? It's very simple. 1,000 minus 10% is equal to $900, since we know 10% of 1,000 is equal to $100. You just divide by 10 to get 10%, right? But the 10% tax is computed on the $900 sale price, So we don't add the tax until we've already reduced the price to $900. So that's the starting price. So the price with tax is equal to 990. 90 is 10% of 900. So that's something you should keep in mind because they will definitely ask you questions like that on the SAT. So here's a quick percentage trick. As I mentioned, that 10% of a number is just 1/10 of that number. So all you have to do is move the decimal point one digit to the left. Very easy with money. 1/10 of a dollar is 10 cents. 1/10 of 10 cents is 1 cent. 1/10 of $10 is $1. So if I need 10% of $10, okay, that's a dollar. So how's that going to help you? Simple. If you need to figure out 30%, you can just move the decimal point and multiply by 3. So if I had $10 and I'm like, okay, I need to know what 30% of this is, move the decimal point one to the left, say, okay, well, I know 10% is $1. And then I can multiply that by 3. So I say, oh, okay, 30% of $10 is $3. If I need to know 5%, I can just take 10% and divide by 2. So if I had my $10, I'd say, oh, okay, well, I know what 10% is $1. And then, oh, okay, well, I need to know what 5% is. Oh, okay, well, I just divide that by 2. So $1 divided by 2 is 50 cents. So if I need to do a 15% tip, I just divide by 10 to get the 10% and then add half of that to the 10%. So let's say I bought dinner for $22 at a restaurant. 15% tip on that would be $2.20 because that's 1/10. And then, hey, half of 220 is 110. Oh, all right. So that would be equal to $3.30 that I should leave for a tip. Using 100 in percentage problems. You should use 100 in percentage problems. If you're doing a percent problem, but they don't specify any particular starting number, then you can set the unspecified number to 100 or a multiple of 100. So I'll give you an example. 15% of the students at Drake High School took archery lessons in 2015. In 2016, the number enrolled in archery lessons increased by 20%, but the total number of students at Drake remained the same. So let's assume that they're going to want to know how many people took archery in 2016. So let's say there are 100 students at Drake. Then 15 took archery in 2015. Now, they said 20% more took it. It increased by 20% in 2016. So we're not taking 20% of the whole school. It's not 20 more students. It's just 20% of 15. Well, remember, 20% of 15 is just going to be 1/5 of 15. Or another way to look at it is 10% of 15 is 1.5. So then multiply that by 2 to get 20%, and it's equal to 3. So 18 students took archery in 2016. Pretty easy, right? All right, ratios. Think recipes. You might have to add 10 parts flour to 1 part sugar to make a cake or some bread or something. That would be expressed as 10 to 1, looking like a fraction, or 10:1. You should expect the 10:1 notation on the SAT because they know that's more confusing to the average student. And then when you actually work with it on the SAT, just convert it to a fraction. It'll be easier. So here's an example. If the ratio of peanuts to raisins in my trail mix is 5 to 1, what fraction of the mix is raisins? You might think, oh, well, that's easy. It's 1 and 5 is a raisin, so it's 1/5 raisins. No, it's not, because it's 1 over 5 plus 1, because you have to take the fraction of raisins, which is 1 part, over 5 parts peanuts, plus the 1 part raisins. So it's actually 1/6. It's 1 and 6. So a great way to solve ratio problems is to put x behind each number to represent a part or a share. So if the number of raisins in the mix is 1x, the number of peanuts is 5x. That makes it easy to see that the fraction of raisins in the mix is 1/6. So those of you who remember Jim Morrison and the Doors and the song 5 to 1, Jim Morrison was wrong when he sang 5 to 1, baby, 1 in 5. No one here gets out alive. Well, Jim, maybe no one here gets out alive, but 5 to 1 is actually 1 in 6. And I remember thinking that when I actually heard that song for the first time. So, no, really, Jim, check your math. All right. Ratios pop up everywhere. Ratios are important in math and everyday life. So you might see it in geometry. You might see two angles, A and B, make up a complete circle. If the ratio of A to B is 2 to 7, what is angle A? Well, first thing you need to know is the number of degrees in a circle is 360. And then you'd say, oh, okay, well, A is 2x and B is 7x. Oh, okay, so 9x equals 360, x is equal to 40, and 2x is equal to 80. All right, we can look at an algebra problem. Neil and Bob split their ice cream truck profits in a 2 to 7 ratio. If the total profit is $360, how much money did Neil get? All right, well, Neil's share is 2x and Bob's share is 7x, so 9x is equal to 360, so Neil got $80. Notice that that's the same numbers as above. Those are the same numbers. All right, that's it for this video. Please, if you liked it, please like it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please comment if you have anything to say. And have a nice day, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.